First, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who are teaching this truth and sincerity. And a shout out to Yakim that's out there on the four quarters of the earth, preaching this word out and risking your lives to do so. As we're at the times of the end, as you've seen all throughout the weekend, the march for their lies propaganda, and this propaganda is so they can have full control. We know that this is not a real protest because you can see it happening in every city. Just like the Ferguson riots were staged, so are these, but this is not agent provocateurs. This is just another Sandy hoax. And of course, because they want the guns, they want to grab the guns. Except that this time, I don't think you're going to see Alex Jones trying to detest what they're doing. Although I haven't watched InfoWars in a long time, I only brought up that one clip just to show you that Austin was one of the Strong Cities Network, and Alex Jones did report on that back in 2013. But I haven't watched Alex Jones in a long time. Not that I don't know what the fuck is going on, but as another elder had brought out that if you're not out teaching, you're not in this truth, so don't even try to lay claim to that. Just whatever you're doing before you go out there and teach is searching for the truth, which is where I was, searching for the truth, because I wasn't getting it in stretch Christianity. Stretch Christianity would not tell me who the devil was. They just wanted me to believe that the entity Satan just runs alone and he's a tempter, but he just runs alone, that he doesn't have a race or anything, They definitely never talked about Esau or Edom, and they never ever really went into very much detail, So, and I say this much, though, those that go to them churches, most are not searching for truth. They just want something to tickle their ears, to make them feel good. It's a place where pretty much terrorists, which is what I call Edomites, the terrorists gather to make themselves feel good, even though we know that all they do is destroy lives. But thus there's a race called the Edomites. So, you have the March for Their Lies protest, which you gotta laugh out loud, right? Which is why I called this Laugh Out Loud, aka LOL. March for Their Lies, because, just shows you how many mindless TV robots there are out there, that they actually think that this is real, and so they want to go out there and protest, and their teachers are behind them and the police is behind them. What up with that, right? But you can't go out there and say impeach Trump, impeach Obama, or the goddamn piece of shit fucking Caltrans will come and take your signs down and possibly even arrest you. You're subject to arrest, but they will definitely shut your shit down. If you do any Trump protests, or you organize a rally against the government or what they do, but it's okay to rally for gun control. You see what I'm saying? Doesn't make any sense, does it? So this is a staged event. That Jade Helm was the practice of the takedown in martial law. So they're looking to go through, as we know that this is the year of prophecy. 2018 is the year of prophecy, and we're seeing prophecy unfold as they are gathered, his mountain of troops, which is what Armageddon means. Donald Trump is gathering his mountain of troops to battle for that day. They call it the Valley of Jehoshaphat, which is really the battle of Yahweh's judgment, because he's about to judge the nations. Started with Edom on down, and all these nations are going to be in slavery very shortly here. But you're not going to hear about any of this in the so-called church. So, anything prior to, going out there and teaching is just searching for truth. You're searching for the truth, but this is a new song, and you're just beginning to learn it. But you're not, quote-unquote, in the truth until you go out there and teach. Which is why, as I was searching for truth, couldn't find it in the church. And here's another thing about faith, how do I have faith in what Apostle Tahar and Great Millstone teaches? How do I have faith that that's the true doctrine when I've been, quote-unquote, brought up in the Christian doctrine all my life, right? But it never had any answers. All they told me was shit out lies, Some bullshit that, when somebody transgresses against me, that I'm supposed to just forgive, just up and forgive him, and to always show him compassion, right? Because they take these scriptures out of context. They won't tell you that what Yahushua was talking about, nor do they call him by the name, by the way. They won't teach you that Yahushua was talking about people within the brethren, right? But these so-called Christians are supposed to be the brethren, but yet they're the most backbiters. They're the ones that talk hellish shit about you. Not that we don't have that amongst our own, but at the same time, though, these Edomite churches, man, man, it really sucked. So how do I have faith in what Apostle Tahar and Great Millstone teaches? How do I have faith in that? Because it's the only thing that makes any sense. You take a good look around. You've been living a lie, and they just quite simply put have run out of lies. That is, if you've been searching for truth. And again, people don't go to them places to search for truth, but if you're in the mix of that, because where do you search for truth? You're trying to pray to the Most High, but you don't have the name yet. Thus you were searching for truth, but you were never told this, before. This is a new song. These are new things. So how do you have faith? Well, you just take a look at things, and most of all, you read to find out, wait a minute, is this breakdown actually true? Is this what it really says? Actually, that makes a lot more sense than that Edomite that was trying to say that you're supposed to love everybody, right? That Jesus, quote-unquote, loves everybody. But you never had answers. They definitely never told you who the Edomites were. They never really told you who the devil was, but yet, if you despise what another does, if you despise the hypocrisy, if you despise the person lying on you, talking shit about you behind your back, you want to fucking beat their ass, oh boy, you never hear the end of it, right? You never hear, that, you got to forgive and forget, and, thus, if you don't forgive them, you won't be allowed in the kingdom, right? So, all that didn't make any sense. But then you get down to the names, Yahweh and Yahushai. You get to the breakdown of that, because they're going to tell you all kinds of other names, Yahweh, God, Yahuwah. A lot of people go and call him by that name. And then, of course, the names of the Son, Jesus, Yeshua, Yahusha, and those names don't make any sense. But yet, he said that my name would be in the Son would have my name, right? So the only names that make any sense is Yahweh and Yahushai. You see, you have faith that that's actually the truth, and yet that makes more sense. That those would be the names, But that's on a side note. That's just the beginning of coming into this truth. Of learning this truth before you teach. You're searching for truth. And you find that out. As well as the bigger lies. Such as the image of Cesare Borgia. Now, I already had figured out a long time ago. It's like, wait a minute. How do we know that that's the actual truth about who he is? And I got to make a correction here about Constantine. Because Constantine did get everyone to worship the Most High. That is, that Constantine's not a white man whatsoever. He's not an Edomite. So, the correction is that Constantine was, in fact, a Jake. He was an Israelite, and he got everybody to worship the Most High. Got all the religions and everyone to worship the Most High, who happens to be a dark-skinned man, a.k.a. black, And and what they did is they took what Constantine had done, and they switched the images, changed them all. And that's how you get your Cesare Borgia image. They whited out everything, the apostles, all that, to make them look like Edomites. So, they pretty much had destroyed everything that Constantine had done, But I'm just going to read out of Jeremiah chapter 21 here, starting in verse 4. Thus saith Yahweh of Israel, Behold, I will turn back the weapons of war that are in your hands, which you fight against the king of Babylon and the Chaldeans who besiege you outside the walls, and I will assemble them in the midst of the city. And again, I believe this is talking about when, of course, when Jerusalem was captured, but it was captured again, thus when the abomination of desolation had taken place and we had to flee to the mountains known as the Sahara. I myself will fight against you with an outstretched hand and with a strong arm, even in anger and fury and great wrath. I will strike the inhabitants of the city, both man and beast. They shall die of a great pestilence. And afterwards, says Yahweh, I will deliver Zedekiah, king of Judah, his servants, and the people, and such are left in the city, from the pestilence and the sword of the famine, into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, into the hands of their enemies, and into the hand of those who seek their life. And he shall strike them with the edge of the sword. He shall not spare them, or have pity or mercy. And so we know that this also had happened a second time when we were brought over here into the land of Egypt, which is, also known as Babylon the Great, that pretty much there was no mercy shown upon us, and still isn't till this day, And you've been brought up in these doctrines of lies because, of course, we were not keeping the commandments, so we were brought here, So, he delivered us over here, and you got the northern and southern kingdom suppressed together, we're both oppressed, and you see where we live. We live in the ghettos and, in diverse places, just, real shitholes, And America's a shithole anyways. I mean, pretty much, Esau has never been good to his own people, You see the attitude even here in Reading, that they don't even like other fellow Edomites who are poor. They hate people that are poor. Now you say to the people, thus saith Yahweh, behold, I set before you the way of life and the way of death. He who remains in the city shall die by the sword, by famine, and by pestilence. But he who goes out and defects to the Chaldeans who besiege you, he shall live, and his life shall be as a prize to him. And modern day Chaldeans is, the fact that we were conquered by the Edomites, we were brought up in his religion. He had whited out our images, and we've been brought into this system. We were born into this system, but now we're being delivered out of this system. We're learning what the truth is. So we know that we're in the times of the end, because this book was sealed. Daniel had to seal up this book, So how do we have faith in this? Well, fact is that everything else has been wrong, and it's been wrong. That pretty much what you've been taught is a lie. The Pied Piper, aka the deep state, sets off false flags, and yet everybody believes it. They're running to the streets and all that. This is a controlled thing here. And of course, like everything else, everyone's being gathered to fight in Syria, even though there's no reason to go to war in Syria. And we know that Bashar al-Assad has destroyed the terrorists, but you're seeing all these terrorist activities take place because they do this every time. ISIS, or whatever you want to call them, al-Nusra, or any of the other names of terrorist groups, or whenever Assad, gains control in the country, because all the refugees are now returning back to Syria, because it's safe to return to Syria. They got to pop off something so they can stay in Syria. Like you just seen a PMS NBC report about Russians firing on U.S. soldiers. Well, what the fuck are the U.S. soldiers doing in Syria to begin with? They were not invited by the Assad government. So, see, all these things are pretty much happening. I'm sorry I can't go live with this, that it still has to be pre-recorded. I tried to find a webcam. You try to turn this into a webcam, and it just doesn't work. I'll still try to get a webcam where I can eventually do live streams, but until now, it's just going to be pre-recorded. And like everything else, just stay alert, man, because we're at the times of the end. And so I hope this has been edifying, Again, I did a Sony Cam, and this is the Sony Cam test, and it seems to be up and running. So, hopefully, Lord willing, I'll be able to turn something into a live stream. Until then, though, just going to continue to go out and teach, and also to become more active. And I've just been waiting for my reinstatement with Medi-Cal so I can check in with the San Francisco camp and do that at least every other month, where I have more finances, And so that's what I'm doing. It's how the government is. They take forever, And you don't have health insurance, even though I have Medicare, but you don't have the supplement Medi-Cal. They duck your pay. You get less money, and what the fuck does Medicare really do anyways? Medicare sucks. The whole thing sucks anyways. But that's just it. You've been brought up in Esau's system. So, they're going to march for their lives. And the news is going to be blasted, and they're just go on and on about a Parkland shooting, a Sandy hoax that never even existed, but they're going to make you believe. I have friends and all that, that were there, and we're outraged. We want the government to do something, All propaganda. Folks, martial law is coming really soon. It already happened in Austin. Soon it'll take place in your city because that's what the Jade Hound practice drills were. And they have UN troops. I mean, everything's kicking off. We know World War III has been happening for some time. And they have been using smaller neutron bombs, which are nukes, by the way. They used them on Fallujah. They've used them in Donetsk, which is Ukraine, which the Israeli state is the one that has them, a.k.a. Mossad. Gave them to Saudi Arabia. They used a nuclear weapon against Yemen a couple years ago. That was a nuke bomb dropped. I'm sure you've seen the footage of it, as I have. So the smaller nukes have been going up, but soon the big ones will happen. Arrows will fly over here. But he's going to push for the mark of the beast first. And we can see that's happening real fast as he's crashing the dollar. So, again, I want to give all praise to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai and double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone who have taught the actual truth about everything, because it's the only truth that there ever was. Everything else has been a lie. You've been programmed. You've been indoctrinated. That's why they call it TV programming. This whole thing is nothing more than a TV program. But those of us, the elect of us, refuse to be mindless TV robots who believe everything they see is real. But they never question what's not real and what is real. But that is, we will no longer be tricked by it. We question everything because we've been lied to for far too fucking long. Shalom.